Have you ever wondered how many crowns it would take to max out everything on a wizard in Wizard 101? We're talking about max level, max spellments, the best stats, and a garden of mega snack plants. Right, these are the things that everyone that plays Wiz aspires to get. Today we answer the question, how much guap would it take to get all of this without doing anything but spending crowns? I'm doing this video for one reason and one reason alone. I think the number at the end of this video is going to be comedically high. And believe it or not, I actually do have all of these things, so I can actually answer the question quite definitively. Now, starting right off, in order to have everything on Wizard 101 on a wizard, you need to be max level. The first expense to maxing everything with only crowns would have to be buying every single world elixir all the way to max. Now, the math on this is obviously simple. You would add every single crowns cost for every elixir you see on the screen right now, and you would obviously also have to add the level 50 elixir that you would have to buy preceding all those other world elixirs, and that number comes out to around 101,000 crowns. However, you might notice something crazy. They haven't released all the world elixirs yet, and for the purposes of this video, we should add the 3 world elixirs, in my opinion, that they haven't added yet, with the assumed price of 4,500 crowns like the previous 2 that they just added. We're adding another approximately 15,000 crowns. Believe it or not, if you actually assume that the next 3 world elixirs are all going to cost 4,500 crowns, add up everything, you actually get 115,000 crowns on the dot. That's what all of that combined would cost. That purchase alone would get us all the way to level 170, but obviously a level without any stats or any spellments or anything like that is nothing. So what would the next expense be? I think we can all agree that one of the most important things if you want to max out everything is to max out your stats. The best way to do that is to make a great pet. Now, pet related expenses go crazy because now we have to get into the world of gardening, plants that drop mega snacks. Now, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to be using couch potatoes as my example, and for the purposes of this video as well, I'm gonna assume that you want a maxed out garden, not something ratchet like a single stack couch potato on one half of your red barn farm and a double stacked evil magma pea garden on the other. This is whack, right? We're just gonna assume that you have one triple stacked garden of couch potato. And if you're confused by what a triple stack is, there's a way to basically stack these plots on top of each other. So basically one large thing that addresses needs will get through all of those couch potatoes. A maxed out garden that's triple stacked, not double stacked like those evil magma peas you see right now, would involve 69 couch potatoes, and each couch potato being at 1,500 crowns brings the total overall price of a triple stack garden to 103,500 crowns on top of the 115,000 crowns you would have already spent. Now, calculating the cost of a pet is obviously not really that easy because there's so much RNG that goes into it. Now, you do need energy gear to train a pet, and in my opinion, the best way to do this at the lowest cost, if you were to spend the money, is to get the pet trainer bundle. It gives you a bunch of really good energy gear, so you don't have to spend as much crowns on the energy elixirs that you need to train all those pets. So you know how in those, like, you know, 1-800 commercials back in the day, they had like a plus $5.99 for shipping and handling. But this video, we're gonna have a plus $29.99 for shipping and handling. Right, we're assuming that someone is getting the pet trainers bundle for their energy gear so that the energy cost is not too crazy for making a pet. Now, assuming that it takes you about 15 hatches from the kiosk of a really good pet and about 10 energy elixirs with good energy gear to make a good pet at least, we're looking at an additional cost of 8,485 crowns plus $29.99, of course. Now, spellments. This is where our potential spend could literally skyrocket, because I'm gonna assume if you were to only spend crowns to max out everything on a wizard, you're gonna be opening up packs for spellment. Now, what's crazy is, if you were to do that, some spellments are actually very easy to max out. Some of them are ridiculously hard to max out with only packs. But I thought I'd make some assumptions about the average amount of spellments that drop per pack to actually get something close to the real number of what you would actually spend. I would argue there's 3 main types of spellments. There are storyline spellments, event spellments, and lore spellments. Now, storyline and event spellments are different in the sense that if you wanted to buy packs for them, you could buy packs that drop school-specific spellment. They're also a lot cheaper than the average pack, right? The Mouster and the Morgan Saga spellments are 200 crowns. The event spellment pack is 299 crowns. So let's say that you got an average of 20 spellments for your school, and considering that you need 6 spells from the Mouster Saga pack, 5 spells from the Morgant Saga pack. If that assumption is right, you could expect to spend about 40,700 crowns to max cure everything by just buying Master Saga spellment packs. We're talking about Frost Beetle through Colossus for Ice, for example, and about 34,000 crowns to max out everything from the Morgant Saga spellment pack. We're talking about everything from Frost Giant to Lord of Winter for Ice. Now, the event spellment, it's also school specific. You need fewer spells on average. Depending on which school you want, it could be more, but it's 299 crowns. So actually, for Ice, it's a little bit different because there's actually 5 event spellments, believe it or not. There's Volcanic Golem, Frost Feather, Blizzard, Thieving, and Frostbite. But I'm assuming that you'll, on average, need 4 because most schools only need 4 event spellments. So we're going to say that you're going to open these enough to get 685 spellments for 4 different spells. Again, assuming that you get around 20 spellments for your school per pack, which I think is actually around the average at 299 crowns, that's an additional 40,900 crowns added to our total. Now, here's where it gets ludicrous. Lore packs, right? Now that we're past the main storyline and event spellments, now we're really only looking at lore spellments. These on average drop about 5 to 6 spellments. That being said, these are not school specific, so you actually have to do the math of all the other spellments that you can get that you don't want. Also, keep in mind that unlike storyline and event spellments, you can't learn them, so instead of the 685 spellments you need to max cure, you need 720 spellments to drop from a pack if you were to pay for all of them. So we're assuming, right, 5 spellments per pack, 399 crowns each, 720 spellments needed, and you're competing with all the other spells. The one variation is that some lore packs are diluted more than others. For example, right, Neptune's Fury, it drops in a pack with 6 other spells. That's also true for Deer Mousetrap and also Ice Elemental. These are spellments that drop with 6 other spellments in their lore pack. When you do the math out, on average, it takes just over 400,000 crowns to max out each of these. That is right. For the 3 spells that I just named, you could expect to pay over 1,000,000 crowns to max out everything with the current RNG tied to lore pack. What's crazy is less diluted spells are also not that different. For example, right, Snow Pig, you would expect to spend around 170,000 crowns. It's in a pack that's only diluted by 2 other spells. Winter Moon and Celestial Intervention are similar in that aspect. They're only diluted by 2 other spells if you open up just Celestian lore packs, for example, for Celestial Intervention. And Fomori, slightly more diluted, but not as much as the ones with 6 other spellments that drop from their pack. About 287,000 crowns. Now, the only other spellments that we haven't actually talked about are the remaining storyline spellments that you currently cannot open up packs for, right? Arc 1 and Arc 2, if there's a storyline spellment tied to it, we're talking ranks 1 through 10 spells, you could open up packs to get them. But all the spells after that, like you know, Imperia, for example, drops Scion spellaments. If you're looking at the Shads and the, you know, the school pip spells we got in more recent worlds, those should be dropping in the form of Saga spellment packs at some point, so these should be somewhat easy to get. But because we're talking about more ranks of spells that you would open up packs for than even the Master Saga pack that we said was around 40,000 crowns, I'm gonna tack on around 55,000 extra crowns to compensate for those. Not that much compared to the lore spellments, but for the sake of our final number, I think it's worth putting that in as well. Now, the one thing that we haven't brought up to this point is all the gear that you could actually get by just literally paying. We're talking about all the level 170 gear that I'm wearing right now. And this is a weird thing because in my opinion, if you were to get this gear, the best way to do it, whether you have money or not, is to just buy membership and farm for all of it. Wiz is in this really, really weird spot where actually opening up packs for gear is very, very often just for pure convenience if you're willing to go with getting a bunch of packs that don't give you what you want. But I'd argue that farming is still the best way to just get a guaranteed outcome. The pity systems are great for most of this. A lot of this stuff drops from second chance gauntlets, gold key bosses after you do a few runs guaranteed. The one exception might be raids, but for the purposes of this video, I'm just gonna assume that you could farm for the gear instead of opening up packs because you just can't really calculate the RNG of getting one specific piece of gear from each of these packs. The number could be ridiculously high or ridiculously low. So that's gonna be my caveat for this video. Obviously, I can't actually come up with a way to evaluate gear in terms of crowns for opening up packs because of how RNG it is, even more RNG than spellment. So at this point, after buying all those world elixirs, buying the $29.99 energy gear, all the energy elixirs, all the Peros, getting a garden and maxing out all spellments, y'all are probably wondering, what is the crown's cost of all of that? Ladies and gentlemen, the grand total that we arrive at is 2.4 million crowns. If you were to get a sale and you were to buy crowns, 1,000 crowns $1, that still equates to over $2,000 of spending, about $2,400 of spending on crowns alone. With decent RNG, you could also get unlucky. Maybe you could even get lucky and go a little bit below that. And of course, let's not forget the $29.99 that you would have to spend. So we're looking at close to $2,500 or about 2.5 million crowns. I'd love to hear if y'all thought that the number that you would spend to get all of that is higher or lower. Is there expenses that I missed, and do you guys think you could somehow whale out even more on this game? Was the number higher or lower than y'all expected? I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts. Let me know if y'all want to see more videos like this, because a lot of people have been asking, if I were to ever sell my account, how much would I sell it for? And y'all already know, we're just talking about one wizard is like 2.5 million crowns. My ass got 7 of them, so I don't think numbers go that high is the real answer to that question, y'all. Let me know what y'all think about the current situation where you could, at dead ass, do all of this. You could pay this much to get all of this. I look forward to reading all of y'all's thoughts and comments. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Leave a sub review. And as always, if somebody hasn't told you're awesome today, they doing something wrong. Stay awesome. See y'all soon. And yeah.